When asked when did the Byzantine Empire fall, most church historians will answer, in the year of the Lord 1573, after the city of Constantinople was sacked by the legions of hell. Some might even add the quip that the Varangians fled to New Antioch in the chaos and pledged themselves to the Duke before the walls were completed, absorbed into the standing army. Another pitiful story among the many tragedies humanity had to endure since the opening of Hell's Maw in the Levant. However, a few voices, and yet fewer of them scholars, would mutter and murmur that Byzantium lives on still. That prior to Basilius Euthemius's last stand upon its walls, a group of Varangians successfully evacuated the Despoina and the High Court from the city by the sea, to the city of Trebizond. Byzantium may have been razed and ransacked, sure, there is truth to all those writings, but this is not where the story ended. Most of those who knew more, or pretended to, were merchants. Word of mouth travels along the caravans and smugglers, passed from one to the next at a fireplace, a caravansary, a depot. Few scholars would take to the beleaguered seas, and fewer still would travel through lands so close to the Hellgate, just to verify the state of some refugees. Too many souls were lost everywhere, every day. What followed after the razing of Byzantium would not be entered into the annals of history for a long time. Across the infested waves, however, Byzantium indeed clung to life. With the swiftly crowned Basilius Athenius seated atop a hastily built throne, Trebizond's population swelled with refugees from throughout the empire, desperate for any place to escape the heretics' pillaging. With the former industrial and military might of the empire taken from them, and with more mouths to feed than sea or fields could provide for, the outlook for the Byzantine-run state was bleak. But through hard work, bloodshed, and prayers of the survivors, the wounded empire prevailed. Empowered by their tested but unbroken fate, the Byzantine remnants survived in the face of hunger and hardship. And it was by his grace that fate would reward determination and sacrifice. With the legions finding a different target in New Antioch and attentions divided, the sieges on Trebizond came with less ferocity. With legions focusing their might on the city of New Antioch, the siege of Trebizond came with less ferocity, and the constant battles against the city walls dried up to a trickle. Despite these developments, the warriors of old Byzantine still stand vigilant. Islamic traders from the Iron Sultanate braved the satanic blockades and patrols as the siege thinned out, and brought in just enough food to keep the people alive. These merchants were rewarded with the establishment of the Islamic quarter inside the city, where it still exists to this day. Now it is the year 1914. Trebizond has been cut off from the rest of Christendom by siege and naval blockade for over 3 centuries. The painted walls are the only thing keeping this bastion of Byzantium and a lighthouse of Greek Orthodox faith alive. With the defences built such as the Theodosian walls writ large, its entire surface is gilded with uncountable scenes of blessed saints. Infused with faith and holy iconography, the walls repel attacks not just in the physical realm, but ward off against malignant energies just the same. The themes of Chaldea are the militant arm of Trebizond, with a tradition stretching back before the gate of hell blighted this holy earth. Its ranks of foederati are filled with Christians and Muslims alike, and its officer corps is staffed by graduates of the Scolae. Varangians, few still of original blood, but with traditions kept alive and well, still serve as the will of the ruler. But for all their efforts and the consolidation of its remains and knowledge, the last holdout of old Byzantium has been sitting on a knife's edge for decades. Naval raiders savage the fishing fleets before the Carabisonoi can drive them off. The once annual grand caravans from the Iron Sultanate haven't been seen for several years. Famine is gripping the city again. But there is hope glinting on the horizon. The raids are becoming less intense, and even if the traders have not returned, the marauders and heretic patrols have also pulled back. Byzantium's descendants have been blessed with opportunity, and if he wills it, and if they are faithful, they will push through and end their isolation. They will push through and end their isolation. Alrighty, so there is some lore about the remnants of Byzantium. These are I want to say fan. I use that word with all love for the community, basically. But it is, it's from that evil one and Cedric. I'm just calling him Cedric. It's Ced 23 Rick. I'm not calling you Ced 23 Rick. I'm going to call you Cedric, bro. And I'm really loving this, and I would implore you to go. There'll be a link below. Go and back this. This faction. It is essentially a variant of New Antioch rule set. There's some really sweet stuff in here. We're going to run through the rules. Not in great depth, just in some interesting stuff. Now over the rest of the video, basically we'll be talking about the rules and the individual units and things of that nature. So if you're just here for the lore, you've got the lore. You can go and you can check out the sculpts, see if the sculpts are something you're interested in for your own variant warbands. And if you're really interested in these guys themselves, stick around. So the warband rules are as follows. Variable leadership. The warband does not have a regular lieutenant as the leader. You may choose between either a Manalatoi princeps or a Varangian warlord to lead your soldiers. Your roster can never contain both at the same time, and should your current leader have died, you may recruit a replacement and choose between the two again. So Orthodox Patriarchy, only one sniper priest can join the warband at first, but this limit rises to 2 in games with a threshold of 1200 ducats or more. Byzantine Battle Order. This warband may neither buy machine armor, field any mechanized heavy infantry or shock troopers, nor promote yeomen to trench mauls. Catapracti and Varangians. Byzantine warbands can field catapract light machine armor units and Varangian guards. See below, we'll get to them in a minute. Catapract formations. 2 catapracti may form 1 additional fire team with each other beyond the regular 2 fire teams. A second fire team between 2 more catapracti may be formed in games with a threshold of 1200 ducats or more. Divergent armory. Grenades are limited to 2. Incendiary grenades are replaced by Molotovs for 5 ducats. The warband has no access to automatic shotguns, automatic pistols, satchel charges, or grenade launchers, but looting after heretic assaults raised automatic rifles to a limit of 2. Lightly armoured. Apart from a Manalatoi princeps, no model in the warband can be equipped with reinforced armour. Longspear Doctrine, Manalatoi princeps, and yeomen treat short range as plus 4 inches longer than usual. On the move, for plus 5 ducats per model, up to 4 yeomen or Varangian guards may be promoted to vanguards at any point during the campaign. They can be deployed on any board edge as long as they are at least 8 inches away from enemies. This only applies if infiltrators are allowed in the battle. Vanguards are deployed after them. They can also be placed in your own deployment area as per usual. And then Manalatoi. What a word. Thanks, guys. Up to 4 yeomen in a Byzantine warband may be made a member of the Manalatoi at any point of the campaign. This costs plus 5 ducats per model and can also be done after the model has been recruited. These models gain plus 1 dice to their ranged attack actions when fighting within 4 inches of another member of the Manalatoi. This does not apply to grenade weapons. Now, so pretty interesting rules there. I think they do a really good job of taking into account the circumstances, essentially, that these folks find themselves in, where they will be limited. They will have reduced access, basically, to all the good things that the rest of New Antioch and the rest of Christendom and the rest of, I guess, the Muslim faith gets to enjoy during their battles. So they've got some really cool, I think, special equipment. sometimes it's rules that make stuff cool. Sometimes it's the lore on stuff that makes stuff cool and just what it means. So they have this item called a Dane axe. Carried from the High Norselands to Byzantine, these weapons have been passed down through the Varangian Guard for generations. Even as the handle is replaced and the axe head reforged, the runes etched again, the spirit of their homeland still lives within. I just think that's really neat writing. That's a very nice piece of lore. And as for the weapon itself, it's fucking cool. It's two-handed, keywords heavy and critical, +1 dice to injury and +1 versus armored, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's pretty sick. So if whatever you're hitting basically has like -1 or -2 armor or whatever, you reduce that by 1. So it'll be like 1 armor or 0 armor or whatever, which is pretty cool. They've got phosphorus shells. By filling shells with the ground up remains of artillery witches, sanctified with communion wine, Byzantine shotgunners can hit their targets with flames that burn through even the most robust of defenses. Before the battle begins, a model may use this item to grant any type of shotgun that they are equipped with the fire keyword until the end of the battle. But yeah, just pretty cool. That's 10 ducats. They have a war horn. The harrowing wail of the immense war horns announces the coming of Byzantine elite fighters, fearless warriors who seek victory in grandiose battles, not through subterfuge. On the wings of Valkyries, they will descend upon Byzantium's enemies and bring ruin. Your army can purchase a special war horn instead of a generic musical instrument, but only a Varangian guard may equip it. This horn is identical to a musical instrument, including restrictions and sharing a limit with the regular musical instrument, except the model carrying it causes fear. So yeah, some pretty dope items there. Let's dig into the actual units themselves. So the Manalatoi Princeps, trained at the Schola Militarum and raised from trusted stock, with mandatory service in the lower ranks and a history of overseeing the watch on the walls. These Kentarchs have the trust of their soldiers and years of experience to know the enemy well. They lead from the front as part of the long spear formation. So they're infantry. They've got 6-inch movement, +2 dice to range, +1 melee, and a 32mm base, +0 armor. So pretty leadery stat lines, which is about what you would expect from Trench Crusade at this point, and they're 75 ducats. They have all manner of abilities. So Manalatoi, as a seasoned leader of Longspear formations, the Princeps gains +1 dice to their ranged attack actions when fighting within 4 inches of another Manalatoi. We already covered that. That doesn't apply to grade weapons. Longspear Doctrine, like the regular line infantry, a Princeps treats short range of any ranged weapon as +4 inches longer than usual. They are tough, and they have leader, a Kentarch, as this inspires their soldiers to keep their spirits high. Even in the face of adversity, add +1 dice to any morale tests the warband has to take, as long as this model has not been taken out of action. And then they've got the Vanguard rules as well, which we covered for the infiltrating. The Varangian Warlord, descendants of Norse warriors baptized in battle and proven among brawls with their brothers, these hulking mountains of muscle and brutish cunning lead Varangian warbands with unwavering loyalty of their followers. Only at the tables of mead and after the spoils are shared would any such leader find themselves honourably challenged by their own. So they're 90 ducats, they're infantry with 6-inch movement, +1 dice to ranged, +3 dice to melee, -1 armor, and 32 base. I love these guys. I love their stat line. Just go all in on melee and absolutely shit stomp something to death is thing that I always like to do in Trench Crusade, and this can do that perfectly well. So piston reconfiguration. The Warlord's armor has been reconfigured to gain +1 to their melee characteristic at the cost of -1 to their assault or their ranged characteristic. It is already reflected in their profile. This upgrade gives the keyword assault to ranged weapons with the shield combo indicator when used with a trench shield. Pretty sweet. Axe Mastery. On a successful charge, the Warlord may immediately make a melee attack action with 1 equipped axe. This is in addition to any other melee actions during the activation. Shield Bash. The Warlord may use any shield as an offhand weapon with -1 dice to injury. It functions otherwise like a trench club. Indomitable. The Warlord is immune to fear. Strong. These warriors have the heavy muscle to carry the weight of catapract armor, and also ignore the effect of the keyword heavy on any weapon they wield. They're tough, and they have that same leader keyword as well. Byzantine troops, the Varangian Guards. Recruited mostly from hardy northern European stock, these Norse and Scandinavian warriors are deeply loyal to their Byzantine rulers and serve as shock and suppression troops. They are known to be ferocious fighters and stand shoulder to shoulder with shock troopers of other New Antioch warbands. They're 50 ducats each, 6-inch movement range, nothing surprising there, -1 ranged, +1 melee, and a 25mm base. A shock charge: when this model charges, roll 2d6 instead of 1d6, and then add the highest of the two results to their charge move. Indomitable. These warriors are immune to fear. Weapon familiarity. Varangian Guards ignore the keyword heavy on all axes and treat two-handed axes as having the shield combo indicator. They lose shock charge if they equip a shield together with a two-handed axe. They can still carry only one heavy item unless they are also strong. So you would pick up strong basically over the course of a campaign maybe. Axe mastery. These fierce warriors often lead their charges with a wild swing before smashing into their opponents for a bloody brawl. On a successful charge, they may immediately make a melee attack with one equipped axe. This is in addition to any other attacks. And Shield Bash. Varangian Guards may use any shield as an offhand weapon with -1 dice to injury. It functions otherwise like a trench club. And the Catapract mechanized infantry. With limited access to forges and less materials to work with, the Byzantine armourers have come up with a lighter, easier to fabricate version of the light machine armour. With sweeping fusillades and heroic charges, these suits form the backbone of the Byzantine fighting force. So 6-inch movement, +1 ranged, +0 melee, -1 on armour, and a 32mm base. They've got fire support adaptation. For an additional cost of +5 ducats, the armour of Catapracti can be adapted for sustained fire support. With this upgrade, firing a machine gun does not end the turn of the model. However, doing so lowers the machine gun's range to 24 inches and prohibits equipping any melee weapons. And then piston reconfiguration, so that same thing. These models can be reconfigured to gain +1 to their melee characteristic at the cost of -1 to their ranged characteristic. This upgrade gives the keyword assault to ranged weapons with the shield combo indicator when used with a trench shield, and then they're strong. So, of course they're strong. They're in a big suit of armor. And that's the rules. I really like these guys, if I'm honest. And not just the model design. I like the thought process behind their overall design. I like the rule set because sometimes, heaven help me, I just don't want to think too hard. And this faction would allow me to just go like all in on axes. And I'm an axe guy. I just really like axes. So I think they're really, really interesting. You should definitely go check them out. Congratulations and well done to that evil one, Cedric. And they've got here counsel by Firmer, who many of you might know from seeing around the Discords, Klondike Bar, War Odent 10, an additional playtesting proofreading by Platypotamus. Platypotamus. Okay, fair play. Dark Loser and Gobfather, which is pretty cool. It's really nice to see various people in the community coming together and helping each other out and creating this kind of content for the game, which frankly, I'm struggling to think of games outside of Trench Crusade that really go out of their way to allow this kind of thing to occur on a reasonable level. So as I said, you can boot on over to my mini factory. There's links below to get there and back this. It is well worth it as far as I'm concerned. The sculpts are wonderful. Go and check them out. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you are having a wonderful time. I am. The weather here is fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. So I will see you all later in the week. Thank you so much for watching.